Alright, as the title says, just finished work, got home, finished treating patients and whatnot. Now to do the stretch routine, get all this done before the missus get home. I have more time to spend with her. And yeah, listen to the usual random stuff in the background.
Frog face going on. Why are you wearing a frog? Why is the frog so sad? To me, this is a guy that could be a competitor in a bodybuilding or classic physique competition. And if this guy's actually natural, that is ridiculously amazing. Perhaps 1 in a million genetics. Coach Greg, and in today's video, I'm going to be answering your questions and giving you my body fat assessments. And so first up, Bonnie, age 24, looking amazing. She's 5'4", 121 pounds. She said she's 21% body fat. It's a little higher, 21%, very lean. We would see a lot more definition to this, closer to 24% body fat, and her goal in a year to get to 17%. To me, that's very low. 17% body fat is contest shape
like
for most bikini competitors. And so, to me, a little unrealistic to maintain such a lean physique. 18 to 22% body fat is the body fat of elite level female athletes. We're talking Olympic athletes. And so, to maintain the body fat percentage even lower than that, to me, not something I'd suggest. She asked, how frequently should I do cardio to reach my goal? The answer is minimum 150 minutes of cardio a week. And essentially, the more the better. And so what would be too much cardio? Well, it depends. The harder you do cardio, the less you have to do. The easier you do it, the more you can do. Rule of thumb, if you're sore from cardio, you're doing too much, you're going too hard, back off a little bit. But if you're not sore, you can do more. Up next, Chang, age 37, looks absolutely incredible. 5'7", 160 pounds. His goal is to get to 10 to 12% body fat. He says he's about 15%. To me, a little bit leaner than that, close to 13%.
Really?
He has a lot of muscle, great shape. To me, this is a guy that could be a competitor in a bodybuilding or classic physique competition. He wants to know how to diet and train during the cutting phase to keep as much muscle as possible. He's not using any supplements whatsoever. And so the key is to lose the weight very slowly. You only have a couple of percentage points to lose. And so try not to lose it very quickly. Half a pound a week. Take your time. Don't do anything differently. The way you train to build a muscle, well, just keep doing it. It's clearly working. Have a small calorie deficit, perhaps 250 calories a day. You don't need a huge deficit. Slowly lose the weight. You're going to keep the muscle and look amazing. Up next, Michael, age 29, 5'9", 85 kilograms, 187 pounds. He's been training for 10 years, 8% body fat, and I'm going to have to agree with him. Right around 8%, clearly single-digit body fat. He's all tanned up, posing on stage,
that I have in my head are
looking
all
incredible. He says, does my size look like someone on steroids? Absolutely, most certainly does not look natural. And if this guy's actually natural, that is ridiculously amazing, perhaps 1 in a million genetics. He says, do I have a chance to turn pro? Well, his goal for next year is to go up to 220 pounds at 10% body fat. Considering he's 187 pounds now at 8%, to me, the only way that that's humanly possible is if he's natural now and goes on performance-enhancing drugs. And so, does he have a chance to turn pro? Well, if he's natural now and goes on steroids and puts on 30-plus pounds, then the answer is yes. The problem is his goals are very lofty. To do that, he would need to add on over 25 pounds of muscle in 1 year. And even with steroids, that is going to be very hard to do. But if he does it, if he has crazy genetics, 1 in a million, comes back next year with 25 pounds more muscle, I most certainly think he could get his IFBB Pro card. But if he is natural, why not find a drug-tested competition, compete as a natural athlete, and try to get your natural Pro card? You don't have to take PDs and become a monster to get a Pro card. You can compete in a drug-tested organization, stay natural, and become a natural IFBB Pro. Up next, we have 21-year-old Annie. She's got a frog face going on. Why are you wearing a frog? Why is the frog so sad? This frog shouldn't be sad. She's looking incredible. She looks great. She's right on 26% body fat, so all she needs to do is keep training, putting on more muscle. Perhaps in the future, she'll become a bikini competitor. Her goal, very realistic. She wants to go down to 24% in 6 months. She can absolutely do that. Small calorie deficit, no problem. She can reach her goals. And so she says her main problem is she can't feel her back contract when she's training. She wants to do so with limited equipment. And so my advice, get a two-way mirror. A mirror in the back and the front so that you can see what your back is doing while you do it. Stare in the mirror and you can see your back moving. And so from the front, when we train our front muscles, shoulders, chest, abs, and so on, it's easy. You see what's working. But in the back, you can't see it. And so with the two-way mirror, mirror in the front, mirror in the back, you can see. You look into the mirror, you see the back and the rear. And so when you're doing a pull down or chin up, you can see the muscles working. 20 minutes later, that will allow you a greater mind-muscle connection. You can feel and see the muscles moving, and so please give that a try. Up next, Hung Wen, only 17 years of age. This guy's shredded. 6 feet tall, 149 pounds. He's only been training for 1.5 years, and look at this guy. He self-assessed him to be at 10% body fat.
Genetics,
this
right?
guy closer to 8.5%. And the only reason he's not leaner is because he doesn't have a lot of muscle. The bigger your muscles are, with the same amount of body fat, the leaner you're going to be. Think of it. If you have 15 pounds of fat on your body and you weigh 150, or 15 pounds of fat and you weigh 300, you're going to have half as much body fat percentage at 300 pounds than you did at 150. And so if this guy keeps the same amount of fat and puts on muscle as he gets older, he's only 17. Imagine how much leaner he's going to be. And so I strongly discourage this guy from doing a diet. To me, he should eat in a calorie surplus, go on a lean bulk. And then later on, a couple of years, if the guy wants to compete, well, by all means do so. And people here in North America, they think they got it tough. They have no idea. Remember, I used to be a school teacher. Kids hardly studied at all. This guy wakes up at 6:50 every morning and goes to school until 10 p.m. Not 10 in the morning, 10 at night. He has less than 1 hour a day to train because he's busy studying, working on his future. And yet, look at the quality of physique. And so rather than finding excuses, oh, I don't have time to train. I got to study all day. He's saying, I still can make an hour a day to train. And so he asks, what frequency and intensity should he train at to put on the most amount of muscle? And his goal, he just wants to put on 5 pounds in a year. Very realistic. I think he can do that and then some. He's only been training for 1.5 years. He has newbie gains he can make. Just needs to go in a slight calorie surplus, gain more muscle, and I think in a year he could be 160 pounds. And so because he has limited time, I would suggest he trains 6 days a week and divides his body into 3 separate days. That will allow him to train each body part twice a week. And the intensity he should train at, well, harder than last time. And so how hard is that exactly? Harder than the time before. And so whatever you were doing, go a little bit harder. If you're sore, well, you went too hard. But if you're not sore, you can work a little bit more. There is such a thing as overtraining. You can, in fact, train too hard. And so please balance out your workouts. Try to train harder than last time, but not so hard that you're always sore. And just look at this guy's physique. He's shredded. The legs, the back, looks incredible. This guy gonna have a future in bodybuilding, no doubt in my mind. And so there you have it. You know what to do. If you want to lose weight, gain weight, please follow me, subscribe, click the bell button, write a comment for the algorithm. Please try watching 1 or 2 loops, the top or the bottom. Use code Greg to get 10% off any of the HCLT supplements. Also, the cookbooks, the coaching plans. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment for the algorithm. Follow me on Instagram, Greg Doucette IPV Pro. And until next time, I am out. King exposed, not actually natural. Here's his real cycle. And so the truth is out. Coach Greg in break breaking news, the Liver King has been exposed. And I'm not talking about the downstairs. I'm talking about his cycle, his actual cycle. It's not make-believe, it's not clickbait. Private emails have been leaked between him and his bodybuilding coach, of which Derek has received these. He's made a video on it, and he shows the Liver King's messages to him as well, all revealing exactly what he's taken and how much money he spent. $15,000 a month. Oh, but I'm 100% natural. And so the truth is out. And so Derek's video, it's over an hour. It's essentially a Netflix documentary. He's going over every single thing in detail. And so highly recommend you go and check that out. But if you don't got time for that, here is the dumbed down version.
Ultimately enhancing the shit out of himself.
And so the Liver King, he had a plan to become a multimillionaire, get 1 million followers, and sell supplements. And to do this, he had to look the part. So he hired a bodybuilding coach and said, this is what I'm taking, these are all the drugs I'm doing, and can you give me advice on how to be even better? It's very hard to be this lean, and I want to get leaner and more jacked than friggin' last time. And so what's shocking to me is the coach would actually reveal this. Imagine having a coach that shares your private information. I've coached thousands of people. Never gonna go and show the cycles that people are doing. Don't care what beef I have, don't care what's going on, not gonna reveal private information. To me, that is going too far. But it's already out now. Now that it's common knowledge, Derek has broken the story. I feel no shame in sharing this information. And so let's get right into it. What exactly was the Liver King taking to get that incredible physique? And so, was he taking any growth hormone? Of course he was. How much? About 10 IUs a day, spending over $10,000 each and every month on GH alone. That's over 6 figures on just growth hormone. Oh, but it's that liver. Had to be the liver, couldn't have been growth hormone. And so, frankly, is anyone surprised
how many
about
people
this?
this guy got
I think
to
that Noel
eat
Diesel's
raw
comment
liver.
most summarizes everyone's opinion. I'd honestly be more shocked to find out he's natty. And so we already knew it. But to have actual proof, to show people what he's actually taking, and it's in fact a lot more than I expected. I did not think the Liver King would be actually taking this much growth hormone.
No, I was shocked, but also kind of not shocked at the same time. Like, I felt like it was just a matter of time before something like this came out in some capacity, but obviously, you know, it was still surprising to see the name on the piece of paper and just the detail that he went into in these emails. So,
and so on top of the growth hormone, also taking several peptides. IGF-1, CJC 1295. These are things I've taken years ago. People are getting them at HRT clinics and so on. And not only was he taking injectable growth hormone, he was also taking oral growth hormone, MK677. And so many people, they resort to taking MK677. It's a lot cheaper and it's an oral form. And so people that aren't wanting to inject and don't have thousands of dollars every month to spend, they often resort to this. I personally never liked it. It got me a lot hungrier, put on a lot of weight, water weight, etc. Not the look I wanted when I was trying to get leaner. Not the kind of thing I would want to take if I was trying to look shredded with a six-pack 365 days a year. And what about the injectables? Well, at this time, I wasn't taking them. Test sip about 120 milligrams a week. Remember, I'm on 140 milligrams of test a week. And so his testosterone dose, very low. But add to that the DECA, 120 milligrams. And remember, he lists this as 0.6 cc's a week. And typically, when you're using bottles from the pharmacy, it's dosed at 200 milligrams a week. And so 0.6 times 200, it's 120 milligrams per week. But that's not all. He was also taking orals, Winstrol in particular, 50 milligrams a day. Not a week, per day. And so that is a very strong dose. But look at his physique. Does he not look dry, hard, vascular? He looks like a bodybuilder.
So imagine, Liver King's approximately spending about 15 grand a month on growth hormone alone.
Times 12, $180,000. And he lives in the United States. That's US dollars. That's like $40 billion Canadian. Unfreaking believable. And so his doses actually higher, especially growth hormone, than many professional bodybuilders. And so Derek does plan to do a deep dive, probably another hour, talking about the hormones, the changes, the blood work, and so on. But what I don't understand is why Derek would reveal the private messages he had with the Liver King.
Even with all this information I had, I was very hesitant about sharing it on YouTube because I didn't want to catch a lawsuit from Liver King.
The Liver King quite literally wrote Derek over a year ago saying, I'd like to hire you. Could you go over these things? But let's keep it confidential. Cookbook, love your work. And so he really respects Derek and he's writing him in private. And so I think that Derek wouldn't have shared that part. I'm quite surprised to see that, as I've had a number of people reach out to me, tell me things in private, and I'm like, look, I will never share your secrets. I know people who are fake natties who I never say, hey, look at this message. They showed me. They proved it. I'm going to out them. I wouldn't do that. And so to me, this part, it's going too far. The Liver King is searching for a coach. He confides in Derek, and Derek gives this information. I didn't personally like that. Imagine you go to your doctor and you say, hey doctor, I'm taking these drugs, I've done this, I've done that in the past, and then the doctor goes and tells your friends. And I was going over this video telling Allie I couldn't believe this was happening. First thing Allie says is, you don't even tell me stuff. So my friends, other people will say, Greg, don't tell anyone. Lips are sealed. A year later, Allie will say, oh my God, did you hear about this? Yeah, I knew a year ago. What do you mean you knew a year ago? Well, they told me not to tell anyone. She's like, I'm your girlfriend. That doesn't count. I'm like, if they say don't tell anyone, I don't tell anyone. Not tell my girlfriend. And so you never know what can happen. You tell one person, oh, don't tell anyone. They tell someone else. They tell the next person.
What is there to gain other than YouTube ad revenue? Is the risk really worth the reward? That's what I was juggling around in my head.
And so notice not everyone is sharing these private bits of information. And so as much as I hate that the Liver King is a fake natty, to me, it's going too far when the person that Liver King confides in, his bodybuilding coach, goes and shares all this information. And so let me ask you this. Would you trust that bodybuilding coach? Would you hire him? And so imagine all the confidential, private, secret information I know from my clients. What they've taken, whether they're natural or not, they haven't told their wives, husbands, girlfriends. And people will often disclose problems they have with mental health, certain private bits of information that they don't want anyone to know. And so I think people need to do a better job of keeping secrets a secret. Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of views. Of course you are. Why do you think I'm recording this video in Mexico at night while Allie's laying down in bed, probably expecting sexy stuff? Actually, she's probably not. I'm skipping out on that so that I can record this video right now before going to bed. And so she's got a snap on in the bedroom, and I'm here screaming and shouting into the camera. And so now you know the news has been blown. You can go and check out Derek's documentary for an hour. I know Bodybuilding BS, he's done a video on it, probably 20 minutes or so. And so you can check all this. It's not clickbait. It actually happened in the real world. And so there you have it.
You've got to be a straight moron to think that you are that invincible. It's disgusting. That's what it is. Disgusting.
It was, of course, inevitable that eventually someone would find out that Liver King wasn't actually natural. But do I think it's actually going to matter? Do I think it's going to ruin his career, that he's now done? He'll never sell a supplement ever again? Of course not. How many people do you think actually thought he was natural? Well, I in fact did that survey. Only 5% think he's natural. And so perhaps it'll hurt 5% of his business. Instead of making $100 million, he'll make $95 million. And so do I really feel bad about the Liver King being exposed, that people now know he's a fake natty? No. And so to me, this is about as shocking as if somebody said in a post, hey, Mike O'Hearn said in an email that he's on HRT. That would be zero shocking. It wouldn't make any difference, as the majority of the world already thinks they're fake natties. And so now that we know, now that we have the proof, can we let it rest? Probably not. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment for the algorithm, watch one of the two loops, like the video if you liked it, and comment below, helps with the algorithm. Follow me on Instagram, Greg said IFBB Pro, and until next time, I'm off to see if she's still up.
Cheers for the follow, Turkey. Cheers. Thank you. There's not much, but they are sentimental. You're liking a lot of things from this stream. Thank you very much. You're too kind. Thanks for the follow as well, by the way. Do you do any training yourself or anything like that?
navigate. And then, what the fuck is happening with luxury fashion brand Balenciaga right now? Right? They are currently at the center of a controversy involving kids with bondage pairs. So let's try to unpack this. Right, so recently, Balenciaga published their Spring 23 campaign that featured 2 small children posing with teddy bears surrounded by Balenciaga products. With the problem being that these bears were dressed up in bondage gear like harnesses, wrist and ankle restraints, and chains. And in that same campaign, an excerpt of a court case regarding child porn was reportedly included, with the case said to be a Supreme Court ruling from 2008 upholding federal statutes on pornography, including minors. Page 11 of that case was reportedly partially shown on the desk, featuring a handbag, with that obviously causing people to go, what the fuck, and causing serious backlash, with people railing against them on Twitter, saying things like, I cannot believe Balenciaga, who signed off? Whose idea was it even? Because they need to be in jail. This is concerning, horrifying. And Balenciaga is very much canceled in my eyes. I don't care what explanation they come up with, don't mess with children. With the company then last Tuesday taking down the campaign from all of their platforms and issuing an apology on their Instagram story, saying that the bears were not meant to be featured with children, and the document was definitely not meant to be included, and then going on to say, we take this matter very seriously and are taking legal action against the parties responsible for creating the set and including unapproved items for our Spring 23 photo shoot. We strongly condemn abuse of children in any form. We stand for children's safety and well-being. But this still didn't sit right with a lot of people, with people saying, oh, so Balenciaga just gets to apologize and turn off their Instagram comments and we're supposed to act like nothing happened. Others saying this isn't something they can just apologize for, it's a crime. Balenciaga should have their stores closed. Also have Kim Kardashian mixed up in all of this, where she's been a longtime fan of Balenciaga and a recent brand ambassador. So with this happening, she released a statement on Twitter and Instagram yesterday about the incident, saying, I've been quiet for the past few days, not because I haven't been disgusted and outraged by the recent Balenciaga campaign,
Cozy's probably the best way I can
wanted an
describe
opportunity
it.
to speak to their team to understand for myself how this could have happened. As a mother of 4, I have been shaken by the disturbing images. The safety of children must be held with the highest regard.
I'll hug one if you let me know if you do any form of exercise or any physical activity.
I appreciate Balenciaga's removal of the campaigns and apology. In speaking with them, I believe they understand the seriousness of the issue and will take the necessary measures for this to never happen again. As for my future with Balenciaga, I am currently reevaluating my relationship with the brand, basing it off of their willingness to accept accountability for something that should have never happened to begin with, and the actions I am expecting to see them take to protect children. So right now, I need to see how other things fall. Right, Balenciaga is reportedly suing the producers of the campaign. They've also completely purged their Instagram. And as far as what steps Balenciaga is going to take from here, that remains to be seen. So while we wait to see, I'd love to pick your brain on this. Let me know what you're thinking with this story in those comments down below. And then, in huge business and sales news, it was just Black Friday, and apparently very few people noticed. Though, I do want to personally note, this isn't going to be the case for every company. For example, over on beautifulbastard.com, where, by the way, you have about 48 to 72 hours to grab what you want while you can, including emotionally exhausted flower power gear, that's on low stock and might be sold out soon. Awesome sports gear, certain sizes almost sold out. Same with the one day will all be skeletons, comfy goodness, and the door almost closed on a brand new special. Notebooks, water bottles, and oh, the best candle you will ever buy. And I mention all that because always be plugging, but also because y'all did actually break another record on our sales.
It's a wombat. I'll give you that wave.
There are companies out there that are very stressed out because Black Friday has historically been the unofficial start of the holiday shopping season, and it serves as a key metric for how the season's going to go. In fact, this season is such a big deal because it normally makes up nearly 20% of the retail industry's annual sales. And for many, it kicked off with a
you only get the hug if you let me know the activities that you do.
Found, with many stores that were describing it as nothing more than a slightly busy day. And there were a number of reasons. E-commerce, of course, a major aspect of it. But also, it appears one of the main reasons being that you have inflation-weary shoppers, with one getting straight to the problem saying everything's going up but your paycheck. Right? And this was a nationwide trend, and shoppers who did go out were holding out for the best deals. And that is despite the fact that online discount rates were about 31% on Thanksgiving itself, which is 7% more than last year. And brick-and-mortar stores also had steep discounts on Black Friday itself. And analysts suspect right now that most companies are either just going to break even or only see
You're asking if I like Snapchat? Used to use it, not anymore.
Projections. So the question I'll ask you with this story is, what has your holiday shopping been like so far? You still did it, you didn't do it, you did, but you bought less or more, any and all things.
I think
I'd
my missus
love to
got
hear
me
from
that
you.
one.
But I will say, the good thing about Black Friday not being
my missus
crazy
got me
is
that
that
one.
I don't have to talk about people being trampled every single year on the same day. People used to get crazy. And then China has erupted with the biggest protest since Tiananmen Square, with thousands of people crowding the streets and university campuses in several
major cities. Had a Pikachu one somewhere.
Calling for freedom and human rights, an end to the zero COVID policy, and even the toppling of Xi Jinping. With a lot of this being sparked by a fire at an apartment building in Xinjiang Friday that killed 10 people, including children, which was already bad enough, but people got extraordinarily pissed when videos led them to believe first responders were blocked from reaching the scene by lockdown barriers and cars left.
You're making my place sound like a daycare center.
The driving force for broader anti-lockdown protests in the vein of what we saw earlier this year in Shanghai, where you had extremely strict measures keeping people locked indoors.
Animal puppets, no, I've got toys, but nothing where I can stick my hand
quickly morphing into a political protest, and people crying, shouting for freedom, crowds in other cities even chanting, "Give me liberty" or "Give me death." And understand, again, this wasn't just in reference to zero COVID. Many explicitly demanded democracy and the end of authoritarian rule. Pointing to the CCP's 20th Party Congress last month, where President Xi officially secured an unprecedented third term in office. Also there picking the 6 men who will stand alongside him on the Politburo Standing Committee, China's top ruling body, all of whom are staunch Xi loyalists, without leaving no clear successors or rivals to Xi and consolidating power to an extent not seen in decades. And so when the protests broke out, the government responded the way they usually do, with force. You saw demonstrators clashing with police, some even charging barriers, as well as footage showing individuals getting picked off and carried away into custody. With one key high-profile incident happening at a protest in Shanghai, where you had police arresting BBC reporter Ed Lawrence.
So what happens when you don't breathe and stretch at the same time? With
the government later claiming that he never identified his press credentials and adding that the cops were trying to protect him from catching COVID in the crowd, which is extremely weird considering the outlet said that he was beaten and kicked and then held in handcuffs for several hours. We also had a Swiss journalist getting briefly arrested elsewhere in the city, also people from multiple outlets getting physically harassed by police. We also saw workers revolt at the world's largest iPhone factory, which is owned by Foxconn because of unsafe COVID precautions and broken promises for bonuses. The video showing people fighting police, though it eventually ended and many quit their jobs. We've also seen the government cracking down online with posts and videos of the protests getting scrubbed, but there you have demonstrators still finding creative ways to avoid censors, like simply holding up blank sheets of paper in symbolic defiance. Another person saying, "Are we saying anything? No, all the complaints and mourning are in our hearts." And another adding, "I hope in the future I will no longer be holding a white piece of paper for what I really want to express." But understand, all of this is still ongoing.
What other
as
plus
I'm
you have?
People in the
Short
streets.
English.
But for now, that's where we are. We'll have to wait to see what happens with this flame. Does it turn into a blaze like hopefully we're also seeing in Iran, or will it be snuffed out? Only time will tell, but of course, like with everything, I'd love to know your thoughts in those comments down below.
Well, no, essentially the pluses you see over there, you got Baby Yoda, Kitty Kitty Moi Moi,
and that's what the
Teddy
fantastic
Bear,
sponsor and longtime partner of today's show, Ridge,
Machine,
I don't know Ridge
and
Wallet before they even became a
Jake.
sponsor. I love that Ridge is a minimalist front pocket
I've got
wallet with slim RFID.
Grumpy Cat over there,
guarantee.
and
We all know that men's wallets are getting
Baymax.
bulky. You stashing everything in there from receipts.
There used to be a time when I used to play a lot of those skill tester machines.
It's just not practical for modern people.
Wasted a lot of money on skill tester machines. But won a lot of toys. My nieces and nephews were pretty happy about that part.
And then, early voting is officially underway in the Georgia Senate runoff. As of today, voting is now available to every registered voter in the state, but thousands and thousands have already actually cast their ballots. 27 counties making up more than half of the state's population held Saturday voting this weekend after a ton of drama. As we talked about on the show before, the Georgia Secretary of State said Saturday early voting, which is essential for people who can't take the time during the week to actually vote, couldn't take place because the election code barred voting in the days after a holiday. And so Senator Raphael Warnock and other Democrats sued the state, and a judge actually ruled in their favor, with Republicans losing their appeals. And it's a very good thing they did, because turnout proved to be incredibly significant on Saturday. The Secretary of State's office reporting over 70,000 people voted that day amid reports of long lines and wait times. Beyond that, nearly 87,000 voters also cast ballots on Sunday. Gabriel Sterling, the chief operating officer of the Georgia Secretary of State's office, saying that the turnout set a new record, tweeting it was 130% higher than the previous Sunday record of 37,785 set on October 25th, 2020. Plus, according to official data, after this weekend, more than 181,700 people have either voted early or by mail. With mandatory early voting now open statewide from today until Friday, Sterling says that this high turnout is expected to continue. Writing in a tweet after voting kicked off today, turnout so far is blowing doors. As of 10:30 a.m., we have already seen 63,454 Georgians cast their early votes in person. This is outpacing their turnout from the last day of early voting in the general election. So what we're seeing here could have a massive impact, but as far as whether this high early voting is going to benefit one candidate over the other, surprisingly, experts actually say it's hard to tell right now. Or well, some have noted that while Republicans historically show up for early voting more than Democrats, Warnock actually got more votes than Herschel Walker during early voting in the general. And GOP-led efforts to limit Saturday voting could hurt Walker. At the same time, the two have been polling neck and neck. So we really don't know what's going to happen until the votes are counted on December 6th. So if you live in Georgia and you haven't already, come up with a voting plan.
I do not
Go
have
out and vote. Because remember, every vote counts, and you get to decide if the senator from Georgia is Raphael Warnock or a constantly lying, hypocrite, deadbeat father whose ex-wife said he pointed a pistol at her face. And then, it's easy to take for granted things like having clean running water in your home, but I'll tell you, people in Houston right now, not taking it for granted. And that's because the entire city of Houston, we're talking 2.2 million residents of Texas, are under a water boil advisory, with that warning being issued yesterday after a power outage at a water purification plant caused pressure to drop. And so if you are in Houston, they're telling you to boil water for at least 2 minutes before you rub your wombat, preparation, drinking, bathing, or brushing your teeth, as well as please.
A lot of action. You haven't told me anything about yourself yet.
You also saw Governor Greg Abbott announce that the state is.
You can easily lie to me, and I can easily just rub the wombat for you. But I want to see you do it yourself.
Saying it believed that the water.
Do you do any activities? Any sports? sports, exercise, or anything like that.
Regulations, and even going on to say the water samples will be collected and the city has to wait 24 hours.
Have
it's been told the water is safe
person.
lift the
I think you're speaking to my
earliest
cat.
will be Monday night or very early Tuesday morning. So it appears the good news here, this is probably going to be short-lived. The bad news, though, is no matter how short-lived, it still causes a massive disruption for millions of people. And that goes beyond needing to boil potable water. This issue also resulted in the Houston Independent School District, which is the largest public school system in Texas, serving nearly 200,000 kids, as well as other smaller districts, to close all their schools today. And it also underscored broader questions about the stability of Texas's essential infrastructure that have remained since the devastating winter storm last year that put much of the state in crisis with power outages and no running water. And while this is, yes, the biggest water crisis Houston has faced since the storm, surrounding areas have also recently been placed on water boil advisories, as have other major.
His name's Cheddar. He has his own Instagram if you want to follow him.
Errors at a treatment plant.
I'm trying to make him pay the rent.
$1 million to be placed on a water boil notice. And so as a result, you have some questioning Texas's water systems as well as local officials' communication surrounding these issues. Many there taking to social media to criticize city authorities for taking hours to notify the public. But there you had Houston Public Works responding on Twitter by saying there are proper procedures and protocols in place before a boil water notice can be issued. But others also complain that they literally got no notice from the government and only ended up finding out because of social media. But also, a key thing that I want to touch on here, Texas is in no way the only place in America that has issues like this where questions being raised. Of course,
plenty of Cheddar. Well, you can just look him up online. If you just go to his page, and you don't have to jump. You don't even have to have this stuff. Not like I'm trying to get you, but if you want to see more of him, he's on there.
Money that state and local
Where was
governments often don't have, and federal funding also falls short. So unfortunately, unless more things change as time goes on, like stories like this aren't going to be outliers; they're just eventualities. And then, can a company put out too much of a good thing? Or like, would fans be upset if there was a new Marvel movie every month or a new Star Wars series every week? Because that is exactly what we're seeing many people say about the popular.
Probably better that you don't have Instagram. Also, even better to stay off all of this social media stuff.
Games, this is fascinating. This story
covers waste of time.
Media, fandoms, business. And to get started, the key thing you need to know is that the company behind
but at the same time, as long as you know how to keep balance,
Hasbro have been accused
everything
of
in moderation,
and that just not paying off for them. And actually, because when it comes to Magic, I'm just some outsider, we decided to reach out to Brian Lewis, better known as the professor from the YouTube channel Tolarian Community College. But essentially, the kickoff question being, what are the top things Hasbro has done to fuck up Magic for the community?
Number one is there's too many products, too much oversaturation. This means that players can't savor the flavor, which used to be a
Can you have the wombat sit on your lap? I'm just asking.
And can't enjoy the true design that's coming out in
Give me
products. And
40 seconds.
Remember what cards are where. It's too much coming out too fast. I think number two is definitely cost of accessing the gameplay. And number three, I would say, is definitely the Gathering. We have had some return after pandemic to events, but Wizards does not seem interested in bringing back events as they were, things like GPs.
The key thing is, like, this isn't just his feeling. The stuff he touched on appears to have been so mishandled that even Bank of America took notice, with them releasing a report double downgrading Hasbro's stock. And it's not like they said MTG was a partial cause, but rather this game that has a massive following of tens of millions of players worldwide was the reason for the downgrade. And that has not helped Hasbro's stock, which has taken a beating. Right, going back to the stuff Brian talked about, it's easy to see that an oversaturation of products is, of course, the thing that players are most frustrated with. But, I mean, you got players from every socioeconomic background saying there's just too much shit to buy. Or, like, here are Magic's releases since the game came out. This year alone saw a dramatic spike of more than one new product or set of cards being released every single week. And for many, adding insult to injury, the quality of the cards also is heavily decreased, which are leading many fans to have this sense of like, what's the point of buying this if it's literally just a worse product?
I don't think you need to be an expert insider in Magic the Gathering to take a look at what Wizards of the Coast is doing and say, and like look at things like they're having major issues with too much unsold product because
love the wombat
so much so fast.
You and my missus will have something in common.
They have to clear it out on discount on Amazon. Warehouse is full. That's not a good thing.
And on top of all that, Hasbro has increasingly moved to sell sealed products directly to consumers through Amazon and
they're quite interesting creatures.
Program, which reprints
some fun facts about them.
About $40. With that, leading to different groups.
Their defense net mechanism is their bottom. Their bottoms are very cartilaginous, meaning there's not too many nerve fibers, but also it's just very solid as a rock.
Expensive cards are still
so how they defend themselves from
$40. Meanwhile, you have game stores angry because they don't get access to.
I just turned into a nature channel. How they defend themselves from, I guess, let's say foxes or foreign animals or dingoes and that. They'll quickly burrow into the ground, but then when they burrow, they make sure their face is in it, and then they leave the bottom out. So what happens is, like, it's as if they're in a burrow, they just leave their bottom out like this. The animal will try to actually bite their bottom, but unfortunately what happens then is because their bottom is just so thick of cartilage and whatnot, it's so tough, that it ends up breaking the dingoes or the feral animal's teeth. Other one that you ever sleep with him? Nah, never. Wombat stays out here. But yeah. And also another interesting fact about wombats is they poop cubes. So, you know, they don't poop like normal droppings. Whenever they poop out cubes. Look it up.
Any of this. And that last part is a big deal, according to the professor.
You must realize Magic the Gathering exists in no small part, in fact, in a large part, due to local game stores who take all the risk. These are independent people who open up stores, they take out the small business loan, they sell Magic's product, they teach new players how to play the game. You think Amazon teaches you how to play the game? You think Walmart has a space for you to play the game? No, it's the local game stores, and they're who've been around. They want to cut out local game stores. They have cut out local game stores. Secret Layers is them cutting out local game stores, but also
That's an interesting word. I think Pat's probably the better word, but regardless, they're both the same thing.
Your local game
yeah, sure
store
thing. Just give me another 30 seconds.
More to get product from Wizards of the Coast than you have to pay on Amazon for that product. These new sets coming out, they're cheaper on Amazon than the local game store is paying for the product. So literally, local game stores now have to compete with Wizards of the Coast to sell and popularize Magic the Gathering.
We also asked if he, through his fans, has noticed the same general sense of product fatigue that we saw when looking into the story.
They do have a fatigue. They've had a fatigue for a long time.
Yeah.
We've all been talking about it.
You make him sound like a lamb.
At the end of the day, you know, in some ways, it's a better sign that you have Magic players complaining than Magic players not complaining, because not complaining is, we're just going to go play a different game like, you know, Digimon or Flesh and Blood or whatever. But Magic players complaining is, I'm passionate about this game, I want it to be better, I'm upset about the direction. Magic players have been complaining for the last couple years about this. Wizards of the Coast has been very dismissive.
But one of the biggest controversies right now in this community, the thing that's been all over the news and social media as the pinnacle of how out of touch Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast is their Magic 30th release, which was just released today. So why? What is it? Well, it's a reprint of Magic cards from the game's earliest history that players can access by buying 4 booster packs for around, wait for it, $1,000 for a total of 60 random cards. You then compare that to a normal booster pack for a normal set, which costs around $3 to $4. So Hasbro likely thought this product's going to be a smash hit. The cards in the set include Magic's most iconic cards that Wizards of the Coast promised they would never reprint, which helped drive their prices into the if you have to ask, you can't afford it level. But also, the company doesn't think that it's lying. In order to skirt around their self-imposed reprint prohibition, they changed these cards to not be playable in normal games and change how they look to differentiate them, which has led many fans to go, what is the point of this fucking product?
I think
you can't
I've
technically
stretched out
use and
everything.
play the cards, and you price out the vast majority of players. And it's been so controversial that...
Oh, one last thing. Okay, one more thing that I want to do, which I don't normally do. So another thing that I'm adding to my stretches is I'm going to do pretty much a dead hang? A hang? I don't know. But you'll see it soon. Supposedly it's very good, it's good for your spine, good for your flexibility in general and whatnot. But all it is exactly what it's called. Just need a chin-up bar and just hang from it. Or any bar in general.
that major figures in the MTG space have released videos saying,
again, on this first video out of many in the next few weeks, I ask you all, love, hate, however you are, please do not buy it. If you do not vote with your wallet, we all lose.
That was Rudy from the channel Alpha Investments, and his and others' calls to action may have actually paid off, as the product was made unavailable about 30 minutes after going live, leading to many saying that the company wanted to make it seem more successful than it was. And that result isn't too surprising, as the professor seemingly saw it coming when he gave us this answer when we asked, who is this product for?
The product is, without a doubt, an unmitigated disaster, and who it's for is no one that actually plays Magic the Gathering, and interestingly enough, not even most people who collect Magic the Gathering. Well, certainly there's always going to be someone somewhere that's going to buy it and try and find some value that they can flip it for later, even though it's not even cards you can play with. It really is a product for no one, and the fact that this is hailed by Wizards of the Coast as their anniversary edition, something to celebrate 30 years of the game, of community, of the players, and it's as much as some people make in a month for 60 fake Magic cards. They're not even real. it's astonishing that they would do this and think it was a good idea.
And here's the thing, at the end of the day, you know, this is a business. But it feels like when you talk to people and you watch people speak in this space, like they are aware of this. It's just the degree of what this company is doing that is pissing people off.
I know corporations are going to corporation, right? But there's a point where it's like, whoa, take it down a notch. Just at least let us play the game and enjoy the game. And that seems to be an afterthought in so much of what this company does now.
But ultimately, where I'm going to close this story, one, thank you to Brian Lewis for taking the time to speak with us. If you're interested in this space, or Brian, I cannot recommend you clicking that link down below enough. And for me, even, like I said, as a normie outsider, I'm very fascinated to see what's going to happen with this space and community moving forward. Is it a moment of self-reflection and growth? Not because, like, a company needs to be moral, but when you
Anyway, that's it for today. That's all the stretches. I think I've hit everything.
Like, that's
that was lower bodies done,
which also, I mean,
legs
is a weird
done,
position to be in. Right? The
upper
majority
body
of solutions
done.
being proposed is
I don't think I'm missing
less
anything.
greedy
Normally I'm
and
missing
hope
one
that
stretch
makes
or
you
something
more
like that,
versus
but
what
I think I've covered
imagine
everything.
kind of part of their model is right
Added the
now
hang at
that
the end.
there's
Hanging
whale
tends to be a
hunt.
very
Right,
good
they're
stretch
thinking,
as well.
fuck
A
the people that
stretch, or
buy,
I guess
you know,
decompression if you got any
$5
back
packs. Let's
problems.
trade 100 of
Ease
those
your way
in
into
for
it though.
some whale that's going to drop, you know, $17,000 to $25,000.
Ease your way into that sort of stretching. Ease your way into every type of stretching. But yeah, it's very normal to feel a bit of pain whenever you do exercise or stretching. I always tell my patients, as long as you feel your 5 out of 10 pain, don't have anything more than that. Anything more, pull it back. It's all about longevity. It's all about doing this as long as you can, as long as you want. You know, injuries put you back at least 2 weeks to a month, depending on the injury. So, you know, it's all about injury prevention in the end. But anyway, that's it for today. Did my workout already this morning. Stretches then, sweet. I'm free for the rest of the day to do whatever. All right, you guys take care. I'll be back on Friday with my usual workout. Hopefully I'll be feeling better then. I've got a bit of a cough going on here, so my cardio is a bit compromised. Is what it is. If not, sweet. I get to do another light, active recovery exercise, which is easy. But anyway, you know, as always, something's better than nothing. All right, take care. HD Turkey Skunks, once again, thank you for all your interests and following and enjoyment of all my plush toys and everything within this room. It's much appreciated. But yeah, until next time.